Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar today, delivered by ESS BIZTOOLS, Business Advisory Services Implementation Training, Survival in Difficult Times. I'm Peter Towers, the Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. I hope you enjoy what we're going to be able to talk to you about today. If you have any questions during the webinar, can you please type your question into your computer, and I will make time during the webinar to answer your questions. If you're watching this webinar at a later time and date that suits your itinerary a little bit better, just send me an email with any questions. Thanks, peter@essbiztools.com.au. I hope that if you're in one of the lockdown areas around Australia, primarily in New South Wales and Southeast Queensland, that you are okay. We are thinking about you, and we hope that these problems will be overcome in the not too distant future. Today, I want to talk to you about surviving in difficult times. ESS BIZTOOLS has produced a product package to assist accountants, business advisors, and bookkeepers to be able to analyze a client's business affairs to get a far better understanding of what's happening in their business. And we have the workbook linked to some suggested responses or documentation that you could send to your client to give them a better appreciation of how they might be able to improve what they're currently doing. So within the workbooks, there are 42 questionnaires, which we're going to have a look at a few of those today to give you an idea of how this system operates. And we are going to look to review the material in the next few weeks to see whether there's any other questionnaires that we should be adding. Obviously, the COVID-19 virus emergency in Australia has extended longer than what we originally thought it would. And that's necessitating us to have another look at what we have in this package. So we're going to look at the outline of the 42 questionnaire workbook. And it's there to assist you to evaluate the business operations of your clients. Things like gross profit percentages, debtors days outstanding, and other things. The business evaluation for SMEs is a commentary that we have prepared that complements each of the 42 questionnaires and gives you some suggested answers that you might be able to submit to a client to help them have a better understanding of a particular issue that you believe they may need some assistance with. You could sit down and have a conversation with them and then leave them the written transcript if you wish. So this is the separate reference paper, which we find really helps with an understanding. So you conduct the questionnaires and that gives some answers. And then we want to look at the actual suggestions for improvements that you will be able to give them. And all of this is linked back to the questionnaires, as I'm going to show you in a moment. And really what these strategies are about is trying to help your clients to survive. At this stage in Australia, our prime objective is surviving COVID-19. But we first wrote this product package in its original format 8 or 9 years ago when the event was a cyclone in Western Australia. And since then, of course, we've had bushfires, floods, more cyclones, and then COVID-19. I've come to the conclusion that there are problems somewhere in Australia every year. And it might be that it's confined to a particular location or a particular industry, or it's a major issue such as bushfires, floods, and cyclones. And obviously COVID-19 is affecting all of us because it affects business activities, affects employment. So hopefully this overview will give you a understanding of how this product package, I believe, can assist you to carry out your functions with your clients. And if any of you are watching us today, especially on the live feed that we're doing on Facebook, and you're a business person, well, this might give you a better idea of what a business advisory services accountant might be able to do for you. So we envisage the accountants that are going to use this material are committed to supplying a diversified range of services, not just preparing annual accounts and income tax returns. So I'm going to go now to our website. So I'm just going to go to our members area at ESS BIZTOOLS, which you should now have on your website. The material in the left-hand column is the material that ESS BIZTOOLS has produced. All of this material is available within our gold package, which currently has a 50% discount relating to it. And then we have other packages, including the Business Advisory Services Starter Package and some other components. The one we're looking for today, we call a group product package, but it is included in our gold package, and that's survival in difficult times. But you can just subscribe to this as a separate package if you wish. There is some summary information as to what's included. And in this particular package, we have the training package, which is the ESS BIZTOOLS training package. That's 13 modules that we have in all of our packages. And also a subscriber to this package on its own also receives a 12-month subscription to our Business Plus newsletters, which are produced each month. They're produced so that a subscriber can badge them with their own name and address and send them round. And we'll have a better look at both of these items shortly. What I want to do now, though, is download the material that comprises survival in difficult times. And we're going to the Survival in Difficult Times workbook. And I've got to do a new share. So you should now be able to see the general headings of what's comprised. Now, what we have here are the articles that, so I've just clicked onto one there, business mentoring or business monitoring and benchmarking. They're the responses to a particular subject. And down the bottom here, we have the questionnaires. So I'm going to go back to the questionnaires, and we have, there's instructions to show you how this system works. And I'm just going to, and we're also going to enable the content because that affects our macros. There's a detailed index that takes you through the date completed would be when you, as a user of this system, complete the system. So this is a list, first of all, of the 42 questionnaires. So we have it subdivided: financial review, not the newspaper, it's the financial review that you would be undertaking on behalf of a client, looking at things like the financial accounts, the gross profit analysis, wages to turnover, net profit, debtors review, debtors days outstanding. Then the market and customer review. What's your client doing there? Market review, marketing review, sales, customer, sales analysis and review. And for those of you who have concentrated traditionally on annual accounts and tax returns, this is a broader range of services than what most of you would have been undertaking for your clients. But this is very important for your clients because it's running their business or helping them run their business. We then go into cash flow review, looking at short-term budgets and long-term budgets. A review of the financial performance, benchmarking, and then the business operations review. And this is the biggest segment of these questionnaires: cost review, stock, work in progress, team members, banks and lenders, leadership, business strategy, insurance, suppliers, exporters, importers, franchising, property investments, theft, pilferage and fraud, wastage and shrinkage, risk management, succession planning, business expansion, succession planning. So that's the list of material that I think is very important for you to look at and understand as we go through this area. I'm going to start by going to the business strategies review. So when we click onto that, we have the questionnaire for business review strategy. So what you would be doing is going through and looking at answering the questions, and any comments that you type in here will ultimately appear in the final report that's going to be prepared. Has your business identified your unique selling proposition? And what we have here is related documents. And if we click onto them, we will get them. And they are back in the detailed commentary that supports each of these questionnaires. Does your business deliver outstanding services to customers at all times? And so what you're looking to get is the client's response. Does management conduct brainstorming sessions with team members? How often? Does management have some quality time to work on the business each day, or hopefully each week? Or is it each month or each 3 months? Does the business demonstrate a can-do attitude? Very important, especially if you're going to continue to operate through disasters. Do you need to develop a can-do attitude? So we envisage that you, as the accountant or bookkeeper or business advisor, is sitting down talking to your client about these questions. We also designed the system in such a way that you could, if you're a subscriber, download this material onto your client's website, and they can go through and answer what they can answer of all the questions. Does your business have attributes to make it successful? Management listening to team members listening to customers, and team members listening to suppliers. And hopefully there's feedback from all of that back into the general discussions within the firm, so that people just aren't recording all this information in their heads but not telling anyone else. Does your business encourage loyalty from team members, suppliers and customers by using customer databases and surveys? The website's up to date, and is the business testing the market for any new products or services that they want to introduce, or do they just put it out there and then find out that the market doesn't like it? It might be the color's wrong, might be it's made out of the wrong type of product. Or is it something that's not going to be suitable in a bathroom because it is not easy to clean? As one of my clients found out some years ago, who designed a product to work within a shower recess. And the ladies didn't like it because they really highlighted a very important issue, which was a problem in the design of the product, that it wasn't going to be suitable in a bathroom environment because it was going to be very difficult to clean. So these are some of the things that, as an advisor, you need to be trying to find out how detailed your client's thinking is. Have they thought through some of these issues? Because that particular one that I just referred to came up in a think tank type meeting with the client, who was showing his product to about 15 people, representative of the building and plumbing industries and some investors, in a workshop environment that we had, which I always try to have with every client's develop something new, a new product, process or service, especially if they're trying to raise capital. You get some input. And that was one of the issues that came out by one of the ladies that was there. So it was very important. So these are the questions that you would be putting. Does your client's business embrace culture concepts? Do people communicate openly and effectively? Is the telephone answered in a professional manner? Are telephone calls replied to promptly? Are emails responded to promptly? Are products and services delivered on time? Are they produced at the required workmanship level? Is it top quality? Is quality an important item? Are your team members pleasant and presentable? So there's some of the issues that we've got there. There is more, as you can see. Do they know the break-even level of operations within the business? That's the leadership team. Do they understand it? Do they know what it is? Do they know how it's calculated? So then we might just go back to some of these other items so you can see how this component works. We want to have a look at steps to ensure peak SME efficiency. So I've just clicked onto that now, and we have brought that up on the screen. And I'll just move it up for you. Steps to ensure. So these are the written comments that we're prepared, that we have these here so that you might look at these and say, well, I need to make all of this steps to ensure peak SME fitness available to your client. Or you might only pick some of them out. But it's there to be able to respond to some issue that you've identified from the questionnaire, that the client's got some problems. They've put a question mark on something. They're saying they don't understand. Can you please clarify? Suggestions on implementing planning for a very successful operations include review costs. Can any of the cost of your business be reduced or eliminated? You know, a few years ago, CCH conducted a survey of SMEs, and quite separate, they conducted a survey of accountants. And they asked both groups what was the biggest problem confronting businesses. SMEs responded that their biggest issue was cost control. I haven't quite remembered what the accountants identified, but cost control wasn't mentioned in the top 6 issues confronting businesses. That's how far we were wrong as a profession. Our clients out there in client land were saying it was cost issues that was of concern to them, and accountants were talking about completely different issues. So that's why I've led there with review costs, because I took particular notice of what that CCH survey said. What about labour productivity? Are your clients telling you that they're going to get 85% productivity, yet you've now established that they're only getting 60, or have they answered they don't know? What about shrinkage and waste control? This is a huge issue. Some retailers are claiming, national retailers, it could be as high as 3% of turnover. It's a lot of money. What could be done? The first thing is to understand what it is. What's going wrong? What causes it? What should they be making and what are they making? We have forms within ESS to assist that. So management of cash flow. Cash flow is vital in a business. So the cash flow we're talking about here is really the components: debtors, work in progress, inventory. Can it be reduced? Can there be savings made? Debtors management, stock inventory, work in progress. Have we got some underused assets? And remembering we're talking about a business in trying to be in survival mode. Have they got assets they don't need? Well, you should be suggesting to your client, I think, that they sell them. You could contact suppliers and try to negotiate better terms of payment. Review the marketing expenditure. Can some savings be made? Are the financial accounts up to date? Very important they keep them up to date so they know their position. Because the bank or a government agency, as we found out in the last 18 months, when various types of loans were available or grants were available, a lot of the operators of those grants or special loans were wanting financial accounts. So emphasize the real benefit of keeping your financial accounts up to date. What is the unique selling proposition for the business? Can it be exploited in more ways than at present? Have a think tank about it. Brainstorm creative ways to increase revenue and reduce costs. Now that's difficult at times, and you may have to be able to offer some suggestions. As an accountant, you will learn from one business to another. Just remember to respect confidentiality, of course, but there's plenty of ways you can talk about things. Increase the number of hours you work on your business. That's the planning, the thinking, not so much on the tools or on the computer. Be proactive in getting your business in order before your banker invites you in for a meeting. Review what's happening in your industry. It's very important because some of the problems that occur, not so much at present, but at other times around Australia, are industry-based type problems that create the urgent situation. Well, can your client be thinking in a different way and trying to anticipate, having a good look at where the industry is heading? I don't think anyone can sit back any longer and say that the industry is going to be the same in the next decade as what it's been in the last decade, in any industry, most particularly accounting, bookkeeping, business advisory. It's all changing as tax becomes more and more of a commodity product, as more and more communication devices become available, just like what we're doing here now. We're having a Zoom presentation. I'd never heard of Zoom prior to about 2.5 years ago, which is when I first started to use it. So that's utilizing some of the matters that are contained there, and hopefully that will help you. Now, when we get to there, we can now click on where we want to go back to. Now, we were in the business strategy review, so we just click there and we are back within that section. You might want to look at culture. So let's go down to culture is important. What are the attributes of culture? There are many attributes: creating successful long-term business, business loyalty, and there's some notes there, strategic alliance. Culture is the hidden success. Culture affects every aspect of the business: the shareholders, the directors, management, team members. customers and suppliers. It's the icing on the cake, the attitude of team members of going the extra distance to satisfy customers' requirements. Is this the feeling you get in talking to your client that you're thinking about undertaking one of these reviews? Culture relates to the image that the business creates in the marketplace, how people communicate. Is the telephone answered in a professional manner? Are calls responded to promptly? That might give you some food for thought, and we'll go back to business strategies. And then we could have a look at avoiding problems. You concentrate on the core business. Sometimes people expand beyond their core operational know-how. They get into areas they don't really understand. There might be different concepts, different ways of communicating even, or describing things. And unless you go to the market, or your client goes to the market and employs someone who is an expert in those different concepts of that business, your client can be in real problems. So that's one of the things you might talk to them about. Also talk to them about what's going on in the industry. What are their competitors doing? I think it's a very important role for you in offering a broader range of diversified services to be including on that list competitors review. Competitors review. What's that mean? Well, I'd get a folder, little folder, and put everything you can find about a particular competitor into it, and then have a couple of more. It's amazing what's out there in the public space. It might be a newspaper article. It might be an advertisement in the newspaper. It might be having a good look at their website. What are they talking about doing? There's nothing wrong with looking at those things. And as long as it hasn't been patented, there's nothing wrong with, in effect, copying it or getting one step in front of them. I think a lot more SMEs need to be taking a lot more interest in what their competitors are doing. What are the suppliers doing? That's just as important, isn't it? What are suppliers doing? Is there communication with them? Obviously, in the last 18 months, there's been problems with a lot of suppliers around the world. What's going to happen in the future? Is this going to be an ongoing trend? Are suppliers out of some countries going to be victimizing Australia for political decisions? And so on. So should your clients be encouraged to diversify some of their suppliers, to get them located in different countries around the world? Could better terms be negotiated with suppliers? Has your client got a business network that they can communicate things with? As you know, in running an accounting firm, it's very lonely trying to run businesses. So who is your client talking to? Are you able to give them that sort of advice? Are you really playing the role of a chief financial officer? What we're doing now is part of it. I was chief financial officer in a listed public company. I spent a lot of time just answering the CEO's questions or sitting there with the rest of the leadership team debating some issues, and then have to go back and work to all hours or on the weekend to get my work done. But that was very important because it got that group feeling. It got people looking at things from different angles. And sometimes, of course, I'd get put in my place, that just because I thought I knew all the answers on what was potentially going to happen in foreign currencies, it might not have tied in with how the sales manager saw it, or the marketing manager may have had a different view. And obviously the big boss, well, he might have had a different view altogether. That was the challenges of working in bigger companies. So that's some of the ways we can look at in some of these items. Let's go to another completely different area now, the wages to turnover analysis review. So we've set these forms up that your client could have 30 forms. 30 departments or sections, that they can insert their wages and what the turnover is for that particular department or section, and calculate what the wages percentages are, the year-to-date figures, and perhaps then make some comments of strategies that they want to implement in the various departments. They can name the department if they want to, rather than just department 1, 2, 3, 4. And then list the action. Who's got to do things by whom and by when in changing things around. Now, unfortunately, I don't think a lot of accountants who are concentrating on preparing tax returns and annual accounts really think enough about the relationship of gross wages to turnover. It's a very important key performance indicator. And I think it should be dissected as far as possible back to the individual business components of your client's business activities. So if they've got 6 different business components, break it down, break the wages and the turnover down. This is really supplying CFO type services. Because if you're going to supply those services, you have got to dig into the material. What goes in the tax return is just a total group or gross wages figure. What you want when you're supplying this type of services is dissecting it into its individual units, individual sections, whatever you want to call them, so that management can really have a good look at it. They don't want to put the clerical people with the engineers, with the storemen, with the salesmen, and the production workers all into one figure and get a labor to turnover figure. It might be one of the figures that's calculated, and it might look good in some sort of like a public report. But what they want to know is, how's it break down? Because that's something that they can relate to and fix if they think it's out of line. So let's look at our link here to get some more information. We go to business mentoring, monitoring, and benchmarking. Some questions to ask. Are your sales up or down? What would your sales team benefit from professional selling training? So you could ask some questions. Now, you mightn't be an expert salesperson, of course. Not many accountants are. But you can raise some basic questions to get the client thinking, because this is your CFO role. How are you going to increase the number of inquiries that they receive? Well, that all gets back to how many you actually start with. It's the funnel concept. If you want to get out at the bottom 500 customers a year, depending on your hit rate along the way, you may have to start with 30,000 that you've made an approach to. And only 60% of them, so only 18,000 open that material. And then as it trickles down, hopefully you're going to end up with 500 customers if that's your target. But I think you should be asking those questions. How do you improve the conversion rate? It might be that you get an additional product thrown into it. In fact, we have a promotion at present. We have a 50% discount on 4 of our major product packages within ESS BIZTOOLS. And I approached our affiliates. They're people who are also trying to service accountants and bookkeepers and business advisors. And I asked them if they wanted to make some of their packages available. And 6 of them have said yes. There's only 8, so 6 of them have said yes. And we're doing that so that we are trying to help the conversion rate by having some heavily discounted or free offers that are part of our offer. To get those packages, you've got to subscribe to the ESS BIZTOOLS product. Is that an idea that you could suggest to one of your clients? It's amazing how many other people could be affiliates of any number of your clients. You can change the terminology if you want to. Partners. How do we increase the customer retention rate? Is it newsletters? Is it asking customers to make suggestions? Is it sending them special discount offers at times? Is it sending them a theatre ticket? What is it? How do we get the average value of the sale up? Is it putting some value added type products into it to try to get the average spend, instead of being $12, being $15.30? It makes a big difference. But I see it as part of your role in offering these services, that you are prompting your client. And that's why we have this material. Then you can move on to say, well, how are we going to get more people to visit the premises more frequently? We're going to increase the visitation rate. You've got to get people to be talking to businesses to make sales, is normally the way it happens. Are they monitoring theft and pilferage? I've mentioned that before. Have they identified where that might be coming from? So hopefully that would give you some idea of how that works. We do have links to papers within ESS BIZTOOLS. If you click on, you would go there. So now I want to go and have a look at, just click back through this system. We'll have a look at debtors. Debtors is an enormous problem for anyone that's offering credit. I've been forgetting to look at the questions. I haven't got any questions yet. If you got a question, please type it in and I will answer it. What happens with the director's guarantees that they get or should get? Are they filed in a secure long-term file? And this might lead you to be suggesting to your client that you undertake a debtor's review and implement a customized debtor's manual for this business. Within ESS BIZTOOLS, we have a template of a debtor's system, which you can go through and personalize and perhaps make some adjustments, maybe change some of the terminology to suit what that client calls things. Years ago, when I was a young accountant, I had to do an audit at a major oil company. And the audit program told me to check the cash receipts book, I think it was called, in the audit program. And I walked around this regional office of this major oil company, I reckon for about an hour and a half, talking to different people, asking for the cash receipt summary book, whatever the exact terminology was in the audit manual. And after about an hour and a half of not getting anywhere, I thought, well, I can't keep on doing this. I will find out when I get back to the office. I will go to my supervisor, my manager. I was a young graduate. And I'll go on with something else, which I did. And about 4:45, a young lady walked up to me and said, I heard you were looking for a book. It wasn't the red book, was it? I said, the what? And I said, no, I'm looking for the... And she looked at me, she said, that might be what you're after. So she went and got this book. And what our audit program had and told us is they had everything color-coded. So it's important that you understand what's happening in systems with your clients, isn't it? So that things can be appropriately labeled and filed and found when they're required. So who looks after these directors' guarantees? Because they need to be filed in such a way that in the unfortunate event that they're needed in 5 or 6 years' time, that you still have them. A payment terms agreed. And so it goes on. Now let's have a look at a debtors' days outstanding, because I think this is a huge issue. So we've developed this package here that you can go to and say to your client, well, okay, let's have a look at this. Let's say that our credit sales in the year are 1,200,000. So the system will tell you that the daily sales are 3,288. And let's put in the debtors balance. And we say it's $248,000. So our debtors are 75 days outstanding. And you say to your client, well, that's far too high. That's higher than the average Australian figure. And we got the longest debtors days outstanding in the world. And that was established a couple of years ago in a survey organised by a UK consultancy company. And incidentally, that survey identified the average debtors days outstanding in Australia was 56.4 days. It's currently 56 days, I understand. So it hasn't reduced much. But so let's, taking all that into account, we say, well, let's get it back to 40 days. And if we got it back to 40 days, our debtors balance should be 131,000. And what you can then be using this to show your client and play with any lot of numbers, obviously, and any number of days. But they need to improve their cash flow by $116,000. Say to your client, would you like $116,000 more in the bank account? I think most of them would say yes. So that's a way you could use that. And we just have this little chart here, which you might just refer to, whereby you look at how many days they should be trading at and what their credit sales are. So if their credit sales are 1.1 million and we want to be on 45, they should only have 135,000 in debtors. And we go back and look at this particular one and we had 248,000. It's really bringing it to the fore and helping your client have a better understanding of what's involved. So we'll just clear that. Yeah, we'll delete that so that it's clear for the next time. The next area that I want to go to is we'll have a look at team members. I probably should have gone back to the index and I'll find team members. So here's the team members review. Again, there's questions about all sorts of aspects of the team, which you can look at. And there's a other article on the team that you might want to bring to the attention. There's a link to a paper. And at the end of that, you can click back. So that's the way this system works. You're able to work through and look at each component of the business. And if we just go back to the index, just bearing in mind, we've got the 42 questionnaires that are there to help you have a conversation with your client about how their system works, what their figures are, and hopefully you can then assist your client in this very important process. And I'm just going to go back here now, and what I want to bring up to show you now is in a paper format. The operating a business, the business evaluation for SMEs. So this covers a whole range. So this was the material we were linking to within that system. You can utilize this as a separate paper if you wish, because it's all there. So you can have it in this format and talk to your clients about it, or you can utilize it where it has been linked to the various questions that are asked in the system. So we've got various things about COVID-19, and then we get into referring to the questionnaires, and then you can get into a whole range of material that gives additional information to your client. So you can make this available to them as a paper. You badge it with your firm name, and you could use them. So here's that article I was referring to before, Steps to Ensure Peak SME Fitness. That's available to help the client have a better appreciation on a range of matters now. It's covering everything. So hopefully that gives you a good idea now what's involved in surviving in difficult times. I think your role is to use the questionnaires to basically undertake a detailed review with your client as to what is happening within their business, and then use the links to this paper, which are shown throughout the questionnaires, to give them some guidance as to what they could do. Or you could sit down with this paper and have a general discussion with your client about a whole range of business review matters. So hopefully that will assist you in undertaking those type of activities with your client. So we have a 50% discount on product sales that expires on the 6th of August. The innovation package has a 50% discount, normally $5,000, $2,500, including GST. The starter package, which is what I suggest to anyone that's making this transition from primarily 95% or so of the fees coming from annual accounts and tax returns to starting to get into business advisory services. This is the package to get started. There's a 50% discount, only $999. You get 12 months access. You get 2 one-hour sessions with me, and we'll work our way through. But more important, you get the training package, the 13-module training package. The gold package, which includes everything what we produce, everything that you've seen on the screens that I've shown you today, and a lot more, is included in the gold package, so that innovation package and the starter package are all incorporated within the gold package. So I think this is the best deal we've got going at present. You can get a 50% discount. So for only $3,250, you can get the gold package. That's primarily meant for people who are already started offering business advisory services, or have 3 or 4 accounting team members working for the firm, might be 1 or 2 partners in the firm. There's probably a better opportunity that you're going to be able to use a significant amount of that material in the next 12 months. But you can acquire it now for only $3,250. Or if you're interested in just looking at supplying a chief financial officer service package, which I know many are interested in that at present, we've got a 50% discount on that. So for only $1,375 for 12 months, including GST, you've got that package that you can use to round off your CFO type service offering that you're making for your clients. Upcoming webinars. We're committed to running a weekly webinar looking at the components of ESS BIZTOOLS in the starter package, but everything that's in the starter package, as I said a little while ago, is also included within the gold package. So we have looking at the SME Debtors Systems Manual. This is the template we've produced, and you can review that and then make edits to it if you wish to suit your client's particular situation. So that's on Thursday, the 12th of August at 12 noon. A-E-S-T. If you want to have a look at one of our client seminars and webinars, there are 12 of them in the starter package. There are 36 of them in the gold package. These are pre-prepared, ready for use. Obviously, you've got to run your own seminars and webinars. You're going to do the speaking, because it's very important that you're using seminars and webinars as a way to promote your services. But we will supply you with the recording that I've prepared, and also the PowerPoint slides and other guidelines to assist you to be able to start offering these services to your clients and prospects. So that webinar is on Tuesday, the 17th of August at 12 noon. And predictive accounting, we announced a few weeks ago that ESS BizTools had joined Plan Guru, a major USA company that produces a fantastic financial forecast software package, 3-in-1, budgets, cash flow forecasts, and projected balance sheets, together with Beyond Accounting Technologies, which is headed by Paul Barnaby, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and ESS BizTools are supplying articles on budgets and cash flows and the key areas of the planning relative to budgets, cash flows, and projected balance sheets. We've got a webinar that we're presenting on Friday, the 20th at 12 noon AEST, and we're going to be joined that day by the marketing director of Plan Guru, Trip Graham from the USA, who's going to be talking about some of the further activities that Plan Guru are undertaking. I think you'll find that very interesting. And then we have the retail pricing calculator, which helps align product mixes and markups. Within a retail or wholesale environment, there's various components of stock. Some are stars, some are cash cows. You got to have them, but you don't make much money. Some are last year's stocks, so they're bits of problems. And some of them are real dogs. You shouldn't have them. They're low volume and they're low markup. They're just eating space and costing money. So how do you bring all that into play with the wages and overhead costs of a business to try to make a targeted profit? Join us on the Wednesday, the 25th of August, and we'll show you how our system helps you do that. And the last of this series is on the last day, Tuesday, the 31st of August, where we're going to look at the business health checks, which are also included within ESS BizTools. We're going to look at two industries, what we've developed for pharmacies and supermarkets. So I think you'll find that interesting on Tuesday, the 31st of August at 12 noon. So to register for any of these webinars, please go to the ESS BizTools homepage, www.essbiztools.com.au, and scroll down to upcoming webinars. If you need more information, please go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, or give me a telephone call, please, 1-800-232-088. So thank you very much for joining us today. I'm just checking to see whether there are any calls. I don't see any. I muted myself then. That was a bit silly. Thank you very much for being with us today, or if you're watching this webinar presentation on Facebook, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're a business person, go and have a conversation with your accountant about how he or she can supply these types of services to help you add value to your business. Thank you for being with us. If you're in those lockdown areas in New South Wales, Victoria and Southeast Queensland, I hope you are going okay. Please stay safe, and we hope that the whole of this country is out of this problem in the not too distant future. Have a great day. Goodbye.